The London system is one of the most widely hated openings in all of chess. For the same reason that it's hated so much, it's probably the best opening that you can be playing as a beginner. Why? Because it's seen as a boring opening. Almost no matter what you play against, you can set up the same system, putting all your pieces on the same squares and using identical pawn structures for each game. For this reason, it's a great opening for anyone that's a beginner or an intermediate at the game. You don't need to learn too much theory, and as long as you know the middle game plans, you can just focus on improving your chess rather than improving your theoretical knowledge. But what if I told you the London system doesn't have to be boring? Well, in today's video, I'm not only going to be going through some examples of how to use the London as a deadly attacking opening, but how you can do it yourself. Before we do get into today's video though, if you guys enjoy the content on my channel and want to help support it, feel free to check out my coaching options in the description below. Coaching is certainly not necessary to becoming a great chess player. However, if you're not someone who has all the time in the world to spend training and studying, coaching will absolutely save you years of time trying to do everything yourself. You can use code FIRST at checkout to get 25% off your first lesson, or book 4 lessons in advance to get your 5th one completely free. But if you guys want an alternative free option, you guys can feel free to join my Discord where you can collaborate with higher rated players who can help you get to your next rating goal. But aside from that, let me show you proof the London system isn't boring. Okay, so we have the white pieces against a 1000. And we're going to play a London. So d4, d5, very nice. We don't get a Benoni or some King's Indian. Let's play bishop f4. And we're going to be trying to play this London system setup in the most aggressive way possible. And when they play knight c6, it's made very, very easy. Knight c6 usually at the lower levels, the idea is just to go here and here, trying to get some reverse fried liver attack. We'll just go e3 here. They're bringing their knight out. Nothing to be worried about. Before you do play bishop d3, you probably want to play c6 though. That is the only thing I will say. Bishop d3, there is knight b4, which can be annoying. So c6, a very solid move in the London. We're not playing hyper accurately either in this game. We're just going to play like I would play in one of my regular games with the London. I made it to 2,200 ELO in the London system, by the way. So a very, very, very working opening. Let's play knight f3. Knight e4, not a bad move by any means, but also not one of the better moves in this position. You want to be prioritizing getting some more pieces out, the bishops, and making some strides towards getting your king castled. So they're playing e6 here, doing just that. Let's get our bishop out. We're now prepared to castle. They get their bishop out. And this is the first kind of crossroad in the London system, and this will dictate how the rest of your game looks when these two bishops stare at each other. So if you take like this, they either take with their queen if you're lucky, or they'll take with the c-pawn and have a lot of central control with these 3 pawns. Not what I recommend at all. The problem with bishop g3 is, this is what a lot of people recommend. I think Gotham Chess recommends bishop g3. Maybe not with a knight on e4, but the problem is after bishop g3, they're going to castle, you're going to bring your knights, they're going to bring their rook, and the second that you castle as well, they're then going to take your bishop because the open file isn't there for your rook anymore. So my recommendation is just to let them take you. Let them take you and double your pawns, because we're going to be rewarded with this open e-file that's going to be very, very useful in the rest of this game. A whole point of the London system is either side wants to break open the e-file, and if they do it for us on their terms, we're going to be very happy about this, opening up our file. This pawn on f4 does not become weak if they do choose to trade. We can solidify it with g3. We can jump in the knight to stop any attacks. And we do get to see the power of e takes f4 in the London system. Very, very excited to kind of look at this. Let's see. So if queen d6, g3 is going to be fine. The light square attacker is just so far out of the game that it doesn't really matter that we have light square weaknesses. Something I do want to do first is knight d2. I'm threatening to just win a pawn now. They will take, but now the bishop's open, the knight's open, the file's clear. This is looking very good for us. Rook e8, sure. Now we maybe take a second to slow down the position and just think about what we're going to do. So something that's really good about our setup right now is that not only can the rook see the open file, they can get to the H file as well. So we've got this rook cliff that otherwise if you tried to force something like this, it would be too slow. But rook e1 is a natural move that we can make. Not playing something like knight e5 right now, because I think just f6 is not great. Besides, I want to keep the flexibility of this knight going to 2 squares. They've played bishop d7, which doesn't really do anything. Now we've got options. We probably had knight g5 on the previous turn. G6 is a little bit of an annoyance there. So I think we just wait and save that move for later, especially now the queen cannot get to d6 to attack our pawn. And we see what we can do now. So this is a very common move in the London system when you play with this e takes f4, because black is trying to just shut your bishop out of the game, but there is always a concession. And the concession is this backwards pawn that we will now target for the rest of the game. So let's play rook e1. We don't have to target it as well, by the way. We can also try and persist on this attack, but I would definitely recommend, targeting this pawn. The question is, how do we do it successfully? So there's a couple of things that we can do. First of all, getting the knight into the game. If they take, we might not necessarily take with the f-pawn. We will still probably take with the rook. But something that we can do that's a little bit more flexible before that is playing queen e2. And the queen gets onto a better diagonal. It also kind of charges at this pawn as well. And we will play knight e5. That will be our idea. Knight e5. They're trying to come over this side of the board, which is interesting. I'm always trying to lure that move. I wouldn't mind if they were to play that. There's also potentially just rook e5. If knight here, we're going to win a pawn. Rook e5, the idea might be that we are looking to take on f5 at some point. It doesn't work quite yet, but it's something that I'm looking for. There's also knight g5, adding more pressure onto this g6 pawn. I think that knight g5 is the correct way to go. So let's go with knight g5. Something that's important to mention as well, this game turned a little bit boring and turned into, okay, whoever can win a pawn because of something that black did. This was not, we were the ones that had a crazy attack, and black needed to slow down the game with a boring move. And that boring move was, where is it? That boring move was f5. That was a move that shut out our bishop, that gave black the concession, so black could hold on in this position. So they're trying to, if we take here, they're going to take. If takes, we actually jump back, so we're okay here. But if takes, they're going to take, and they're going to give us this isolated pawn. I think that that's fine, but I'm also tempted to just take here and say, okay, you've given us a free pawn. I don't see a massive reason as to why I shouldn't play like this. It just looks like a good move. If they bring their rook, then I'm going to take. Okay, they're going all in here. Takes here, takes. This just all looks very good to me. Let's take here. Allow them to take on d4. And again, it's black who's making the concession in these positions. We're gonna take. Right now we're threatening the queen and we're defending every single pawn it attacks. So they have to take. Now we're threatening to take the rook for free. So they have to respond by taking the rook most likely. And if they go back, we're going to have checkmate. So we can check here. If they go back here, this is going to be checkmate. We sacrifice our queen. If they were to go here, I'm not actually exactly sure what I would have wanted to do. We could check here. If the king goes back, what would we do? Maybe we would take here now. Lots of things that we could do. I think white is just completely winning, but in this case, we have back rank checkmate, and black is completely lost here. A very nice game, a very clean game. We did everything we wanted to do. We used all of the techniques that I would use in the London system if this was a real game. Let's go ahead and analyze the position though to see what the engine thought about the way that we played. I think it will agree with most things, most decisions. We got 95% accuracy, so I am very confident that we played this correctly. Let me quickly, chess.com's having a weird day today where their layout is all funky, but we'll go to the analysis and see if we could have done anything a little bit better. So d4, d5, bishop f4, and knight c6. The reason that knight c6 is not so great is because c5 becomes not a possibility. So you really want to keep that c pawn open and not develop the knight to c6. Even though the engine is suggesting this is okay, this is playable, from a thematic, practical point of view, knight c6 is not the best. e6, just going for this London system setup. c3, again, c3 is a systematic move that the engine is not going to think is the best move in the position. Knight f3, technically a little bit better, but just getting this nice setup and prioritizing the bishops coming out first is going to be just a very nice kind of theme and system to keep in mind in your head as to not kind of mess up any of these London positions. So although it does forfeit slightly 0.2 of an advantage, it's still a good move. Knight e4, again, kind of gives it all back, proving that small inaccuracies like c3 don't really matter. Knight f3, e6, bishop d3, and bishop d6. And you'll notice the top engine move is to castle, so we were correct in saying that this trade benefits white. So what would happen if we break the tension in each way? So first of all, if they take c takes, which I'll also clarify is the top engine move, c takes, they can take with the queen, but c takes is a little bit more accurate because it supports this central push. So if we now castle, they might not do it immediately. They'll probably castle first. Let's say rook e1. Now the engine is saying, oh, e5 is there. We can play e5. So we don't really want to allow that. Even though it's playable, it's not practical. What about bishop g3 instead? Well, bishop g3, first of all, in this position, they would probably take with the knight. A lot of people would take with the knight. You don't really want to get rid of this bishop for the knight. But let's imagine this knight isn't here and it's on here. Let's actually, can we orchestrate this at all? Let me try and figure out a way that I can do this. So I want to end up with, okay, I want to end up in this position. So this is the same position except the knight is over here. They might not take here. The engine is saying that this is okay for black if they take here, but they might just play something like castles. And then after you play knight d2, and this happened to me in a lot of over the board games, and you play something like rook e8, the second you castle is when they'll take. So maybe not in this exact position where the engine is saying, okay, you have knight e5, but usually you'll kind of get stuck in no man's land where you'll end up wanting to castle, and this is when they'll take the opportunity to take. I don't really like that because whilst there are every so often moves like knight e5 that you can play to kind of get out of all of this, there will also be a lot of positions where you kind of run out of moves to make. And I've found that the remedy to that is just by letting them take your bishop here, and you know, they can take back, but it's going to improve your position because we open up the e-file. So they do end up taking. We take back with the e-pawn. And after they castle, now we can just kind of bring all of our pieces. We didn't have to play this either. We could have played rook e1, threatening this knight. Let's say they play something like f5. Now we can play, the engine is saying a lot of different things. I would play knight bd2 here. If they take, suddenly we're in that same position where we have the backwards pawn. And this is all going to be really, really good for white. So we'll follow what actually happened in the game, where they took and took. And then after rook e8, we played rook f e1, bishop d7, and rook e3. So now you can see already +1 in this position. That's such a crazy big advantage for not doing a whole lot. This is very, very natural thematic moves because we found one idea with e takes f4. Our opponent had to make some kind of concession. Again, if they don't make this concession, the game is going to be so fun, so lively. The only reason this game was even slightly boring is because of something our opponent did. So let's say they play knight e7, for example. Bang, g4, top engine move. That's not a boring move at all. That's a crazy attacking move. We're going to shift our king over to h1, shift our other rook over to g1, and we're going to have a field day with our opponent here. Instead, they played f4, and we played rook ae1, and the idea is very simple. We're just going to target this backwards pawn. Queen e2 is one of the best moves. It is it's kind of switching around, but it's one of the top 5, 6 best moves. I was also considering just knight e5, but I thought after takes and takes, you know, it's not so flexible as queen e2 was. They played knight a5, didn't think this was a great move either. Knight g5 I thought was very good, just attacking the pawn. c5, very clever, but we take d4. You're kind of biting off too much here. C takes, queen takes, and then everything is going to fall apart. There is no way to defend all of your pawns. Rook takes, queen takes. This is the only other important moment in the position where they could have played king f8. Now we just take on f5. They go back. And what is the move here? Queen e6 check is the move. If they go back here, bishop takes, and now we're threatening this checkmate. So there is a very fast checkmate this way as well. But they give us the easy way out. Instead of playing king f8, they play king h8, and we get the brilliant queen e8 check, sacrificing our queen to get a checkmate. Just before we continue, if you guys prefer a more hands-on approach and want to learn the London system in a more interactive way, you might be interested in the sponsor of today's video, ChessMind.ai. ChessMind.ai. ChessMind.ai is a next-generation AI-powered chess improvement platform who also happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Not only does ChessMind have completely free puzzles, but they also have a wide range of courses you can select from for less than $5 per month. All of the courses are handcrafted by Chilean Grandmaster Mauricio Flores and are designed to make you a master of any opening variation in around an hour. They perfectly balance top quality theory with ease of learning to take the boring out of any study. Once you've completed these opening courses, you can either play puzzles deriving from said opening, or dive into their AI integrations which quiz your knowledge on what you just learned. The AI acts as a replacement for a coach, asking you to find characteristics of certain positions and explain the advantages and disadvantages. You can check out ChessMind.ai with my link in the description where you can get 30% off your subscription. Okay, so we have the white pieces and we are going to play the most exciting London system game you have ever seen. Assuming our opponent plays d5, of course. If they play something like a King's Indian with this, and d6, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but at the lower levels, d4, d5 is always going to happen. I actually very rarely see knight f6 or g6 or anything like this. So we want to play the accelerated London. I think I explained in the previous game what the difference is between the accelerated London and just the regular London. It's just a matter of flexibility. They are already playing a weird move in h6. I assume that in this case, the reason for doing this is to play g5. That would make sense to me. But for slow moves like this, I've said it on the channel a million times, if this is a slow move that doesn't commit anything, the punishment is just we have a free turn. So there's no need to go and look out for some crazy move to punish this move. The punishment is that we just got a free turn and we're able to play e3. So now they've played f6, knight f6. You'll notice that our queen is defending the h5 square, so they can never go and harass our bishop on this side of the board. So I think we should just develop another piece. Let's develop another bishop, and now we've got eyes on this very important diagonal that Black has not claimed for themselves. They're playing another weird move, a6, don't like this at all. I think we should just play knight d2, developing another piece. I can play c3 whenever I want, and I think now is a good time to play c3 actually, because Black is currently threatening knight b4. We do want to play c3 to defend our d4 pawn because we have later plans of playing e4. So right now, let's just play c3. You'll notice that we've got this very, very simple setup. It almost doesn't matter what order you play things in the London system. Especially at this level, your opponent is just not going to know the correct refutations. But now we're in a kind of interesting moment because our opponent is clearly planning on playing bishop d6, but if we play knight f3, they're going to have knight h5. I think I'm going to play knight f3 anyway. If knight h5, I'll play bishop g3, and if they takes, I've got the compensation of the open file. But this is what I really like to see. I really like this, and this is what will change the London system for you if you play it. Don't play bishop g3 here if you don't have to. You might be wondering, wait, what's the difference? You play knight h5 here, and then you play bishop g3. We're still opening up the file. The problem is, if we play bishop g3, I don't think that this open file is enough. I don't think it's enough. A lot of people will play bishop d7, they'll castle this way, or they'll just not castle until you eventually castle, and then you've not got an open file to really work with. What I like to do is play castle straight away. And you might be wondering, okay, if knight h5, what now? Well, then we'll play bishop takes. We've got something to take. We've got an out. But if they hadn't played bishop d6 here, and for example, they play knight h5 straight away, we don't have this out, so we just don't have this as a potential move. Now we take with the e-pawn, and you'll notice how much of a weapon not only is this open e-file, but also this f4 pawn. They immediately jump in and try to attack our pawn. I'm going to dive in with my knight here to block the queen's sight of this pawn. A lot of people might take here and blunder the fork. This is a very, very, very simple way of winning with the London system. I think maybe one of the best moves might be to play something like knight d7, but then I can probably jump in with the queen. Already another weird move, queen e7, and I'm thinking f5 is always a really nice idea in the London, but right now I don't think it works because then he can take with the knight, and I have to take with another pawn, and I'm just not seeing it. So I think rook e1 to activate the rook. Another great thing about taking on f4 like this is because you can wrap around the rook and use it to attack the enemy king. So they're taking here. I guess the point of queen e7 was to take the knight without blundering a fork. So we can take back with the f-pawn. Now we don't have double pawns either. We've just got a very, very nice advanced pawn here. And we can start bringing in our rooks. We can start bringing in our knight, bring the queen. We've got so many different options that we can go for. And I'm honestly a little bit stuck for choice. So if f4, which is maybe the first thing a lot of people consider, do we have to worry about f5? En passant, I think is just very good. What about f4 and g6? Then I have queen here, and that doesn't look great for black either. I think we should be going and trying to break open with f5 here. This looks the most logical. I think c5 is just too slow of a counter shot here. I'm going to be coming with f5, which just has a lot more force, and I've got complete control over this file. Is there anything better though? I think not. I think we should be going straight for f5 here. And you'll see in what is usually considered a very boring opening, we're the ones attacking, we're the ones calling the shots. And you'll notice also, in any single London system position that gets boring, it's because black had to make it boring to avoid losing. That is usually how it goes in the London system. It is very rare that a good London system player will be the one that initiates the boringness. So we'll take with the bishop here. The king is still uncastled, so they do need to pay some attention to that. I'm expecting maybe knight b6, trying to trade off our light squared bishop, but I think I might just dive back with the bishop, with bishop d3, because even if they do get this bishop active, it's not going to be a very good bishop. Now we've got options again. Activating the queen seems good. Activating the rook, even though we did move the rook to the e-file, activating the rook again seems like a decent move. Activating the knight is also a move, but I'm not really sure where the knight goes from there. Activating the queen seems the most logical to me. If the queen comes here, I'm going to play knight b3, defending the d4 pawn. Trying to think of anything. There's also just bishop d3 back, which looks good. All of the moves look good, to be honest. I think what I am going to do is there's also queen e2. I'm going to play queen f3. It also comes with the threat on the d5 pawn, which is an added bonus. And just activating your queen seems like the right idea. Connects the rooks as well. We can take control of the c-file. They're going for this. Looks like a fork. Isn't a fork. We block the attack on the pawn and defend this pawn with the knight. So now they do have to respond to our threat on the d5 pawn. Maybe it's with knight b6. But from there, I think we've just got a very good position. They're trying to come with more tempo than us. You know, they're danger leveling us. They're going for a4, trying to undermine our knights. But what can we do in this position? We can first try and kick away this queen, but it's just going to kind of sit back up. Or worse, it's going to pin our pawn to our king. If a3 and queen b5, we can play bishop d3, which I think is very good. There's also the opportunity for us to just take here. And if they play a4, we can maybe get the knight active, like knight c5. If takes, we have bishop takes. I'm not liking that so much. Could I play rook e2 also? Rook e2, no, because the pawn is going to hang. I think a4 is going to be my move here. a4, there's knight b6 there. Let's play a3 first. Okay, we're going to combine the two ideas. a3 first. If queen b5, we're going to play this. By the way, if they take our knight, we're going to play bishop h7 check. If they play this, I'm happy to just get the tempo. But my idea was, if they play queen b6 now, then I'm going to play a4. And now the knight can't go to b6 because the queen is there. But in this case, do I want to go rook c1, or do I want to continue with this idea of, have I trapped the queen? No, I haven't trapped the queen. Okay, good to know. Bishop d3, queen a4. Do I have queen f5, g6? I think I'm just going to go for rook c1. I think it's the simple option. I think they're going to go queen a4. That makes the most sense. They could also go for either of these two moves. If they go for queen b5, I'm just going to go bishop d3. Makes sense to me as well. There is also, yeah, queen a4. I don't love queen a4 for them. I think that we're just in better shape here. And you can see just we've got the center, we've got the active bishop, the active rooks, the active queen. The knight is maybe our worst piece, but their knight's not doing so good either. This is such an aggressive position for us, and we've got all of the attacking options. I have whittled down my clock a little bit more than I would have hoped in this game, but I think that our win, our attack is going to pay off very, very soon. Our opponent plays queen b5. Let's just hit them with this nasty tactic. If they take the knights, we're going to check them and win the queen on the other side. The purpose of bishop d3, by the way, my idea was to play queen f5. We want to kind of make some sort of commitment on this side of the board, and then I'll drop that down to h3, which would be the idea. If queen f5, they can block. I don't really like that either for them. What if this, and a4? Can I play queen takes? That might be a problem. Okay, so maybe not queen f5 just yet. Maybe I should be playing queen f2, I lose my knights. How about just a4? a4 now, combining all of the ideas that we looked at before, making sure they can't play a4 themselves. And what moves does black have to play? That is my new question. Where do they put anything? Should they move a rook? Should they move... I mean, they can't move their knight anywhere. That's just not a thing. Their bishop can't move because their knight can't move. The rook, this rook doesn't want to move. This rook is probably pretty happy on that square. I was thinking this move, but do we not just have a little bit of queen f5 now? This is, I mean, I was also thinking that maybe we have e6, because the knight looks just very trapped. Queen e6. Maybe I play queen f5 first. Queen f5 if queen takes. I've got check here, check anywhere, and I discover, and this should be winning. Okay, let's go queen f5. Attack is brewing here. I don't know how they even defend this threat, to be honest. They've taken the free knight. Let's go for this check. Let's go for this secondary check. We can pre-move it. I don't really care. All of this is going to be winning for us. Depends where the king goes as well. So we're going to check here. He has to go here or here. He obviously can't go to the square that's being checked. So he goes for king e6. Is there any way we can be a little bit cheeky about this? So we can go check here, check. That doesn't really do anything. We can also go check. It frees up some squares for him, though, which I don't like. I think we can also technically go queen takes g7, feels like the win. Queen takes g7, then I'm threatening queen pawn takes. If he takes with the rook, I check here, and it's a dove. Well, it's not a dovetail mate, but it is a mate. So I think queen takes is going to be the right move here. The knight can't help out. All of his pieces are still tied to one another. Takes, is there queen here? No, then I go check. He goes in front, and I go here. Okay, queen takes g7 feels like the fastest way to checkmate. King's in the opponent's king in the center of the board. We plan on taking here. The bishop covers so many important squares. The rook covers important squares. The other rook covers important squares. The pawn covers important squares, and so does the queen. And all these pieces are just terrible. I don't care that they're up a piece. Their king is in the center of the board. We'll review this game, of course. I'm sure there are a couple of things that I did a little bit quick. I know this was a decently complicated game for this level. But I think it goes to show the London system is not boring at all. If you play it correctly and you play with a couple of different themes than maybe you're used to, you are going to have absolutely incredible games with this opening, and it's so easy to play. I think my opponent might take a while on this move, so we might cut here and wait until my opponent figures something out. Okay, so my opponent's played queen b4, which we did look at, but in this case we can just take with a check. My opponents will have to come onto the same diagonal as their queen. They can also, you know, do this. I'm not sure it actually does anything, though. We'll just take. It's just delaying the inevitable. Actually, it does free up a square for them, but yeah, now we get this checkmate with queen e7, checkmate. I am actually curious to see what we should have done if knight here, and... Oh, actually, our queen is still covering this t7 square. Never mind. But we'll look at this game. In the analysis, I can see 3 brilliant moves in this game, apparently. So, anything but boring. Let's have a quick look. So, of course, we can skip forward in the opening just a little bit. We've got h6 again. Not a great move by my opponent, but not something we can punish. You can see top engine move, e3, c4. You don't have to find a crazy move to punish these wasteful ones with. So e3 is a very good move. Bishop d3. Engine is liking c4. This is very anti-London, though. I don't recommend you play c4 if you are playing the London. This is just the engine knowing, okay, taking the center is very good, but it's very against the ideas of the London at the amateur level. So I think knight f3, bishop f3 are decent moves here. Same with knight d2. Very good move. So let's play bishop d3. a6, again, another move that doesn't really do anything. Then I go with knight d2. If we play knight f3, the problem here for me is that there is this move. The engine doesn't mind it because it thinks that you can get away with bishop e5, and if something like knight c6, castles, and you're just helping us develop. But I think at an amateur level, you probably want to avoid all those nasty complications. They're not nasty, they just complicate the game a little bit too much, and we want to keep things simple as we can until we're ready to attack. We want all of our pieces out first, and then we can start complicating the game. So knight d2 is a move that we were going to play anyway. This move threatens knight b4, so we want to stop it with c3. They play e6. I play knight gf3. Knight gf3, the reason we play this is because we can't really stop knight h5 anymore. We can't delay it. So if they do play knight h5, I would probably, I mean, the engine is saying that you can still play bishop e5, but I would probably keep it simple. If they want to do something like this, we've got this compensation for the bishop, which is the open file. But that doesn't happen. They don't play knight h5. They play bishop d6. And you might be wondering now, why not play this? Is this not still good? It is okay, it's fine, but there's no need to. We can keep this in the center, and now if they play knight h5, we can take. And if they take, we can start breaking open the center with e4. This is the entire idea, and now they've got a weird knight on the edge of the board as well. So now that they've given us this out of the bishop, knight h5 comes with a lot less venom. And if they do take on f4, we take back with the f-pawn, and we've got this open file to work with. And look at that evaluation on the side of the board, plus 0.8 on evaluation. Very, very nice evaluation. Our opponent comes and tries to attack our pawn immediately. You can play g3 here, by the way. Because this light square bishop is sleeping, the light squares that are weak around our king don't matter so much. So we can actually play g3 in a lot of positions here. But knight e5 is a lot more active, allows the pieces to kind of coordinate a little bit better. And, you know, if they do take, we are going to fork their pieces. So they can't do that, which was the reason that my opponent played queen e7. Very slow move. I was thinking f5 here might be good because I saw the queen and the king are on the same file, but he's just going to take here, takes, and I know he does kind of get away, but yeah, I'm just not convinced that this is what we really want. Right, even queen takes is probably a little bit better for black here, because they're never gonna take this pawn. They're never gonna do that and let us have this. They're gonna castle or something, and it's just not gonna be so good for white. So I thought, okay, instead of playing f4 too soon, let's play rook e1. And now let's say they wasted another move. Now might be the time that I strike forwards with f5, because if they take, I'm taking like this, and look at that, the queen's on the same file as the king. Now that makes sense to play that move, but that didn't happen. Our opponent took our knight, which is arguably better, because now we have such a strong center, and this knight has to retreat. And now we get to this position where you can already see, look at this, knight, rook e3, another plan that you can go for in the London. Playing rook e3 and just lifting the rooks and having a rook lift and having more pieces in the game. It's the beauty of either getting your e-file open completely or pushing this pawn all the way to e5 is that your rooks can come in and get in at the enemy king, which, by the way, our opponents cannot do unless they play f6, which seems like a long way away. So that is also an option. I went with f4. Says inaccuracy, but technically also a very good move. I think they're very, very similar in evaluation. It's only a 0.3 evaluation difference. So f4 is a decent plan as well. They play c5, which is a decent counter shot, but we go ahead with f5. Takes, 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 takes. And the engine thinks we've sacrificed a little bit of the advantage here, but it comes right back when our opponent castles short. Queen f3, setting up some attacks on the d5 pawn and just getting our queen a little bit more active. And they actually defend quite well here with queen b4. I thought knight b3 and a5 were very, very difficult moves. So I was worried that if here they would just play a4 and now our knight has to move. This is undefended. This is undefended. Not a very good decision from white to be playing like this. So it was actually very, very difficult to kind of come up with something. I was worried that if a4, they would have this move knight b6, which apparently is fine. The engine is liking knight c5 more. That is an incredible move. How does that even work? Oh, if you take, they take here. And if you take, what happens? Bishop takes f5 here and then takes. Okay, that's a very, very difficult move to find knight c5. I didn't think anyone would find that, but I was worried about this move. I thought that this looked very good. They were defending this and they were attacking this, and it just becomes very, very difficult to kind of do anything in this kind of position. I thought that this pawn would fall as well, which I didn't really like, and the tension between the bishops becomes maybe problematic. So I didn't like that. So instead I played a3. I then brought my rook in, and this position is completely winning. Bishop d3, very good move, because you can win the queen like this with a discovered check. They do not take, they play queen b6, and then we play a4. Apparently you're supposed to take on d5 here. I'm not sure why I didn't play that. I can't exactly remember. I thought maybe this and this could have been problematic, but I apparently knight d2, queen takes, and this is looking really good for white, I guess. Knight c4 is a very good move. I didn't quite see that though, so I played a4, and after f6, we go queen f5, another brilliant move, sacrificing the rook, the knight, sorry, and we get queen h7 check, bishop g6. Apparently there was just e takes f, which was a faster mate. You can get, yeah, it is a faster mate actually, because we're threatening checkmate on this square. They can't take back. If they play rook g8, now we play queen g6 check here, and checkmate with the rook. So there was a faster mate there as well. Instead, we play bishop g6, we play queen takes g7, bishop f5 a little bit faster as well. What was the defense here, actually? This will be interesting. f5. I didn't see f5. Okay, just locking the position up here. But they play queen b4. We get this check and checkmate there, which is very nice. So we got 3 brilliant moves in that game. I actually only counted 2. I don't know why the engine said 3, but we got 2 brilliant moves in this game, so certainly not a boring game at all. If you're going to take anything away from this game, let it be one single thing. Let them take your bishop on f4, and it will open up the game in ways that you could not imagine. This makes games so much easier to play in the London system when you do have the freedom of the e-file all to yourself. These double pawns do not matter. This is going to make your London system games not boring. And with those 2 games concluding, I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of this potential series. Let me know what you guys thought of today's video. The London system is one of my favorite openings of all time, and it's my top recommendation for all of my students. So if there's a high enough demand, I'd be really happy to continue the series. But apart from that, thank you all for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one.